Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Remember, I told you we were going to be watching Minneapolis, and we have some new information. Department of Homeland Security sources telling Fox News the ICE agent who was hit by Renee Nicole Good's car suffered internal bleeding in his torso. That is the same Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent who was seriously wounded last June when he was dragged by a car during a attempted arrest. Yeah, a car rammed him and then dragged him. And by the way, there was street camera footage of some of that. The CBS local station, WCCO, covered that story last June extensively. We'll keep you posted on the situation as we get new information.
Is this what you voted for, MAGA? You idiots? Is this what you voted for? Why would you even want this job? Is your ego and your penis, are they that small that you feel that you have to harass people in order to feel like a man or to feel strong? Is this what you voted for? Is this what you voted for? Maybe it is, and if you did, then you're a cruel, heartless bastard. Clearly, what this administration is trying to get you to do is unlawful. It is inhumane. It is unpatriotic, and it is un-American, although by the minute it is becoming what America is. And maybe we have crossed that threshold, that thing that switches to the other side where this is what America is. You ICE goons and federal agents who are out there, you are common terrorists.
He used to be the one of the primetime anchors for CNN. That is Don Lemon, the last statement there. Wondering about the size of men's penises in relation to the performance of their duties. What are you holding your hands up there, Carlos? He said it. I didn't say it. I don't sit around and wonder about the size of men's woodies or whatever they have. It's not in my wheelhouse. I didn't say it. Don Lemon said it. You must have small. Yeah, CNN hired that guy. Had him on for years. Welcome, my friends, to the Wednesday edition of Bo Snerdley's. Play the beginning of that Don Lemon thing again, just so we can.
Is this what you voted for, MAGA? You idiots? Is this what you voted for? Why would you even want this job? Is your ego and your penis, are they that small that you feel that you have to harass people in order to feel like a man or to feel strong? Is this what you voted for? Is this
okay? That's enough. Yeah, I wasn't making it up. He said it. Yes, ICE is still in the news. Is still in the nude. Oh, man. Let me reframe this very quickly. It's degenerating rapidly. ICE is still in the news. And, of course, there are other things in the news as well. One of the fun things, there was another Fox News report. Let me find it real quick. I couldn't help but giggling when I heard it. Let me see if we have it on here today. Yes, we do. Let's just start with the beginning of Cut 2. I couldn't help but giggling. And it's not a real big story, but nonetheless, I found it amusing.
And there's more breaking news coming into the Situation Room. The FBI just searched the home, searched the home of a Washington Post journalist who's been reporting on President Trump's efforts to reshape the federal government. Let's go live right now to CNN crime and justice correspondent Caitlin Polance. What do we know about this search, Caitlin?
The details are still becoming clear to us, but as far as we know right now, this reporter, Hannah Nathanson, her home was searched, and the FBI did remove a phone and 2 computers from that home as part of this probe. Now, this reporter has been told, according to the Washington Post, that she is not a target of this criminal investigation that apparently exists. The Attorney General Pam Bondi has put a statement out describing that there is a leak investigation where someone has already been arrested, a government contractor accused of leaking.
Okay, so
Bondi
here's the deal. It just made me giggle because did you hear Wolf Blitzer at the beginning? Yes, they searched the Washington Post. Yes, they searched the home of a reporter. Yes, they did. Yeah, the FBI did it. They executed a search Wednesday morning at a Washington Post reporter's home. This is the Washington Post coverage of it. Or the reporter, Hannah Nathanson, was at home in her Virginia home. At the time of the search, they searched the home, seized some devices, her phone, 2 laptops, and a Garmin watch. I guess that Garmin watch is the, what is that? One of those travel things that, don't they do the travel like that, yeah. Anyway, the Post received a subpoena in the morning seeking information related to the same government contractor that they're apparently investigating. In an email to the Post newsroom, executive editor Matt Murray called the search an extraordinarily aggressive action that is deeply concerning and raises profound questions and concern around the constitutional protections for our work. She's not the target. Relax. It'll be interesting to see if that contractor is named, going after fraud. And apparently they wondered if she might have some classified communications. And I wonder if the press was at all concerned. Do you remember anybody whether the Post was deeply concerned when Joe Biden demanded the search of Mar-a-Lago and you had his agents going through the lingerie and evening wear of the former First Lady at the time? Do you remember anybody, the Washington Post expressing concern over those deeply aggressive actions? I don't seem to remember them being maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't recall them being particularly upset about any of it. Now, yes, the immigration stuff, but we've been dealing with that for over a week. We will get to it. In the meantime, let's cover a few other things. This related to immigration, my friends. President Donald Trump, said Tuesday that starting February 1st, he will deny federal funding to any states that are home to local governments resisting his administration's immigration policies, expanding, he says, on previous threats to cut off resources to the so-called sanctuary cities themselves. Such an action could have far-reaching impacts across the U.S., potentially even in places that aren't particularly friendly to non-citizens. 2 previous efforts by Trump to cut off some funding for sanctuary jurisdictions were shut down by the courts. Trump unveiled the concept this time in a speech at the Detroit Economic Club. Did you hear what happened at that speech? Yeah, some Democrat heckler started heckling Trump, called him in relation to Epstein, calls him some pedophile protector or something. Trump put his middle finger up and just F-U'd the guy. Guy was suspended. I have that story here somewhere. The guy was suspended from his job, Ford. He was at Ford, and Trump was making a speech before it was like the F-150 plant. out there. Do you know that guy has since raised somebody set up a GoFundMe for this guy, and they've raised over $450,000 in less than a day for the heckler. I'm thinking about heckling a Trump speech, just to see whether I can get a payout like that. Of course, I wouldn't do it. It's bad manners. It's horrible. But apparently the left is trying to make it pay off. Horrible thing. But the guy's benefiting from it. He may lose his job. They're investigating. And let us turn to Greenland for a moment. Better than when Obama administration spied on James Rosen. Oh, that's right. That's right. The Obama administration did. And they threatened to throw Rosen in jail. I don't remember all that concern back then either. Interesting. The foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland. Boy, I keep watching all these movies once in a blue moon. I haven't seen any in a few weeks. But maybe 2 months ago, I kind of binged on Viking stuff again. There's a gazillion series now out about the Vikings and how mean and rough and tumble they were. Came into England, just took things over. It took over parts of Europe, even down in Africa in some places. Vikings, just tough as all get out. In fact, one could argue successfully that after the English invasion by the Vikings assimilated into many parts of Europe. And so now you have, where did the Vikings come from? Denmark, Greenland, all up there, the Scandinavian countries. And now you have the foreign ministers of Denmark, the Vikings. And Greenland spoke with reporters after wrapping up what the Danish foreign minister called a frank meeting with Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. They met hours after Donald Trump insisted the United States needs Greenland for national security. The Danish foreign minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said Denmark, Greenland, and the United States continue to have fundamental disagreements about control over that island. The Greenlandic foreign minister, Vivian Morsvelt, said the meeting with the American officials said of it that we've shown where our limits are. It's in all of our interest to find the right path. Otherwise, we're going to send a bunch of Viking ships over here on your shores, and people are going to get off with swords and shields and hatchets. It's not going to be pleasant. Of course, they didn't say that, but it's fun to think of it that way. It's like, what are you going to do? Send the Vikings back over this time? So we shall see. Mitch McConnell, here it is. I didn't even think I printed the story, but I did. Always prepared. Former Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, Kentucky, warned in a speech on the Senate floor today that President Trump's talk of seizing Greenland by force threatens to incinerate our long-standing ties with NATO allies. He warned the ill-advised threats from the administration about seizing control of Greenland from Denmark could shatter the trust of allies. Following through on this provocation would be more disastrous for the president's legacy than withdrawing from Afghanistan was for his predecessor. Thanks, Mitch. Way to go, Mitch. By the way, if NATO were shattered, who would it hurt? Would it hurt us, or would it hurt the European nations? I think there's an easy answer to that question. We'll be right back.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
My 16-year-old daughter just called one of her classmates a Trumpy mother, and she said it just so easily, it just flowed. So if you're wondering who's raising their child right, it's me.
Really? I'm thinking it's time for us to actually name this segment something, because we check in with the LWWs every day. You know who the LWWs are? The liberal, women. The LWWs. In fact, let us see. We may not have time to put another one in here, so we'll just wait till after the break. But we have a few more of them. And let me tell you what else is coming up. Folks, I could not believe what I was hearing from an obstetrician, an OBGYN, OBGYN, who was testifying this morning on Capitol Hill. She was testifying, and it was Josh Hawley's turn to do the interview, the questioning, and it's about an abortion matter, blah, 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 but it was related to questions about basic biology. I have the full segment of that. He had 5 minutes to spend with this woman. I don't know whether we can fit in the full 5 minutes, but we have it, because I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. So that and other items in the news when we return. Whatever you do, keep it right here and do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
I mentioned before the break, we're thinking about doing a segment of the LWWs, because every day we have some. And you know who the LWWs are? The liberal white women. They're everywhere on social media. So we're thinking about just doing maybe a daily or maybe 2 or 3 times a week segment just featuring them. So, as contemplation of that, here's one. Cut 16, Carlos. I don't even have to explain it. She'll explain for herself what her issue is.
So at what point are we going to finally say it's white men? At what point are we going to make the determination and say white men are problematic? And trust me, it's white women too, but it really is white men that are dictating all of the things that create this problematic environment. And then everybody, like what I was talking about with the white proximity, it's also like white male proximity. You know, the women who are performing for the male gaze, they're performing for that white male gaze to get what they're hoping will be the proximity to the privilege that the white man holds in this country. And so, like, when are we going to start to address that we need to really deep dive into dismantling whatever mental illness is attached to white men and make that go away. And until then, we probably won't see any forward movement, because really it's always white men.
Now, as a black guy, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines here, okay? Because this ain't I don't got a dog in this hunt. So, okay, you want to... Unbelievable. That's one of the reasons we're thinking about doing this segment. I mentioned Josh Hawley with Dr. Nisha Verma. Nisha Verma. Now, I had to look up Nisha Verma after the testimony. And what I found out was this doctor practices, she's an OBGYN. She's a gyno. You know, checking out the vajayjay. and other things related to vajayjay and children, childbirth, so forth. OB-GYN. She practices in Georgia. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, cut 11, Josh Hawley with Dr. OB-GYN Nisha Verma this morning on Capitol Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
There are many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women.
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So, can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool.
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert, and you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating male with...
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological...
You're not going to answer my question.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push...
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask... I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged. And yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women, and I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing. That is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time has nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses for being here. Thank you for protecting women and children. Thank you for your valiant efforts. Thank you for following the science. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this hearing.
Senator.
And that is, again, if you're especially in Georgia today and you need an OBGYN and you're looking for one, her name is Dr. Nisha Verma, Verma. 5 minutes. Can men get pregnant? Wow. Unbelievable. This is also another long one, but this is important. I want folks, Aaron, what's her name? Burnett. Aaron Burnett had the ex-father-in-law of Renee Good, who was shot. I don't think can play the whole thing. It is very, very long. But I want you to hear it, as much of it as we can play. And listen to the way that his answers will speak for themselves. Cut 8. And this is the ex-father-in-law of Renee Good on with CNN's Aaron Burnett.
Out front now, Renee Good's former father-in-law, Timmy Macklin, and he is the grandfather of Good's 6-year-old son, that little boy. And Timmy, we're really appreciative that you are willing to speak out. And I know you want to talk about Renee. Your son was married to her before he died in 2023. And now there has been this horrible tragedy for Renee, and of course your grandson now has lost both his biological parents. You just heard the president speak about your former daughter-in-law. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm a Trump supporter also, and Renee was an amazing person. I mean, she full of life, full of joy. I mean, real gentle, a good mother. I just think we make bad choices, and that's the problem. There's so much chaos in the whole world today. And that's why the Bible says, if my people would humble themselves and seek his face and pray and turn from our wicked ways, God will hear from heaven and forgive our sins and heal our lands. And that's what we need to do. We need to turn to God and walk in the Spirit of God and let him lead us and guide us.
So we have some news.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I am sorry for your loss, because for your loss for you, it's your grandson who will suffer so greatly, and you have suffered the loss of your own son so tragically as well, her former husband. Your grandson's 6 years old. Have you been able to see him or talk to him since all of this has happened?
Not since it's happened. I've been blessed to see him, 2 or 3 times a year. He's an amazing young child. I mean, he's amazing. He's really smart. And so I look forward to seeing him when I can.
I want to ask you about this. When you talk about the confusion, and you've been open, obviously, about your support for the president, when you look at the videos of what happened, and I'm sure they're very hard for you, Timmy, to watch if you've even been able to, but the Deputy Attorney General says that the Justice Department doesn't believe that there's evidence to back a criminal investigation, right? And nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great person as well. I mean, I don't have any enemies. I love everybody. And that's what the Bible tells us, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But, I think there's some bad choices. And the word says, for the wrath of God will come upon the children of disobedience. And, I don't blame Ice. I don't blame Rebecca. I don't blame Renee. I just wish that, if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there. That's
okay. We can stop it right there. I don't think Miss Burnett expected that interview to have those conclusions. I may be wrong. I think maybe his answers could have surprised her. Profound. And especially, I don't hate anybody. I love. This man is so deep. And I just really appreciated that. Now, my friends, before we take off, we have highlighted liberal white women today. And, of course, we do quite often. One of the other social groups that I find increasingly speaking out are black guys, and you see them all over the place that are just not going with the standard narrative. So, I want to play one for you. Cut 13. It is, and this sentiment, I'm telling you, I'm seeing more and more of these.
Let y'all know now, I do support ICE. I stand for everything they doing. If it's anybody that's getting caught up in the crossfire, I'm sorry that it had to happen to you, but a democracy worked, and people voted for these agents to get these illegal immigrants out the United States of America to make America safe again, make America great again, what other acronym you have for it. And then y'all keep telling these lies. Oh, well, Donald Trump is using ICE as his personal police force to get black and brown people out the United States, so he ain't getting no white folks out the United States. Matter of fact, we'll debunk that right now. Here go a white boy right here, boy about white as snow. Where he from? The UK. Where he got convicted of drug trafficking in Arkansas. Sent his ass back to the UK. Here go another white boy right here. Where he from? The United Kingdom. White as snow. What is he convicted of? Look at all these terrible things he's been convicted of. And y'all mad because they get his ass up out the United States? But y'all keep telling me they only going after brown and black communities. Hold on, I got more. Another dude straight from the UK. He's smiling. He white. They got his ass the up out the United States. Let's move on to the next. Another white boy straight out of Jersey. What he convicted of? Drug trafficking. What they did? Send him back to the UK. Next, another white boy straight from the UK. I'm just telling y'all, so why y'all out here talking about they only going after black and brown people? They gonna get you next. Here goes some white folks. I'm showing y'all. Look at what he getting charged with. What they doing? Sending him back to the UK. Hold on, I got more. Another white boy from the UK. Where they found him in Brooklyn. Convicted of money laundering. What's his name? Jonathan Carson. Shipped his ass back to the UK. Got another white boy straight from France. Look at what he convicted of. Man, they getting him up out of here. So we got another one straight out of France. What he convicted of? Identity theft, fraud, and abuse. Shipped his ass back to France. Next, last but not least, we got a white man straight from Canada. Look at all this disgusting he getting charged for. Look at this. Y'all can read. Found his ass in Alabama. What they did, took his punk ass back to Canada. Shout out to Trump and ICE. I stand with ICE because they making America safe again and making America great again.
We have more. They're all over the place. James Golden Snerdley with you. Don't go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Now here's James Golden.
Yeah, my friends, we're going to leave you today with the music of Alan Toussaint. Toussaint. He was a musician, songwriter, arranger, and renowned record producer. Worked with the likes of Paul Simon, Joe Cocker, Lee Dorsey, Robert Palmer, who I love, Willie DeVille, the Neville Brothers, also with Paul McCartney and Wings for their album Venus and Mars. But in 1975, he produced Nightbirds for LaBelle. And off that album came this huge hit. He passed away. Toussaint did in 2015. He was in Madrid on tour. Had a heart attack. Happily heavenly birthday. We got to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we will be back tomorrow for the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.